story. The Echo Game. My name is Reese, geology kid. I used to believe in clean math. A plus B makes C. Rocks don't lie. Air doesn't cheat. That was before the Sierras. It was a class project. Me, Cassian, and Lyra. Cass always had a camera in his hand and a joke in his throat. Lyra said almost nothing. When she did, you listened. We parked the truck, hiked in under granite that looked poured from the sky. Hot dust, cold shade. The valley we found was a bowl of stone and air. Cass tested it first. Of course he did. Hello. 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 It made him giddy. He kept shouting dumb stuff, and it all came back brighter, like the cliffs liked him. Then he yelled something else. What? I can't tell you. And the last echo came back slow. Wrong. Deeper, like the rock had a chest. We laughed. Freak acoustics, Cass said. I nodded hard, too fast. There's always a reason. There has to be. We made camp. Nylon rasp of tent fabric. The little stoves clicked, then bloom. My sock steamed near the fire and smelled like wet dog. I wrote a few notes. Grain size, fracture lines, dumb comfort. Stars woke up. The valley turned to just breath and spark. Lyra had her face to the pines. Someone said my name, she whispered. We went quiet in the way you do when you think an animal is close. Cass grinned, big. It's the wind, Lyra, or a ghost. He cupped his hands. Lyra, Lyra, Lyra. I'm here, something whispered back. Not an echo. A voice that leaked from every rock at once, low, torn at the edge. My chest tightened like a strap ratcheting down. We stamped out the fire. We did not talk. We got in the main tent like a drill we'd never practiced. Zipper up, lantern off. 3 bodies trying to breathe smaller. Then, voices. Ours. Not now, us. Deus. Bits and loops. Cass's dumb midterm joke. Lyra's line about mica sheen. My note about a joint set, stitched together into nonsense that sounded like a mouth learning to talk. It didn't repeat. It played. Footsteps followed. Slow circles. Crunch, pause, crunch. Pine needles have a soft crackle when they break. Tiny, papery screams. It went around us and around. I tried to build a reason. People out here. A hiker screwing with us. But then how did it get our voices right? The cadence, the throwaway laughter we'd barely had. No. Think simpler, Reese. Wind, birds, auditory pareidolia. Sure. I heard the zipper of our tent, clear as a coin dropped on rock, but I was looking at it. It hadn't moved. Cold slid down my neck like a spill, a beat. 2, and then the real zipper started to lift from the outside, slow, intent. Zip. We screamed. All 3. No plan, no logic. Lyra slapped her palm over the zipper from the inside. I grabbed her wrist without meaning to. Cass kicked for the door like he'd boot the air. The opening stopped. Didn't go down. Didn't go up. You're not here, I said, to something, to me. My voice shook, stupid line, but I said it again. You're not here. The thing outside breathed, a shallow, papery pull. It stood there long enough for my calves to cramp, then the steps again, circling, then farther, until I could pretend the night was just night again. We didn't sleep. We were still awake when the granite went pink. Morning was ordinary in the way a hospital hallway is ordinary after a code. Coffee tasted like metal. My hands trembled, pouring. Cass joked thinly. Lyra kept rubbing her thumb over the ridges on her water bottle until it squeaked. We packed. We left no trash. We got out. Back home, the rules came with me and then didn't. I hear things before they happen now. Little things. The tap drip before the tap drips. A door latch before my roommate presses it. A shoe squeak in the hallway and then the person appears. Late, like the sound arrived first. Harmless, mostly. But sometimes it isn't harmless. Sometimes it's the rough whisper from a wall with no mouth. Sometimes it's... The sound comes in my apartment when I pass my coat and my hand hasn't touched the zipper yet. I freeze. I wait for the real one to follow. It always does. A second later, maybe that's nothing. Maybe it's my head, bruised by a valley. But I keep the TV on low at night, tuned to static. I sleep with earbuds in and music cut to silence, fake noise to drown real noise. And I talk out loud now, sometimes, just to own the sound. I tell myself the same thing each time. Sound travels in lines, echoes obey geometry. So, okay, then who said I'm here first? Story 2, the trail markers. I'm a travel nurse. 13-week hops, different towns, different hospitals. I'm good alone. Quiet suits me. I wanted the woods to rinse me clean, the way running water rinses a scalpel. So I went south, Tennessee, a quiet cut of the Appalachian Trail. 7 days, no service, no chatter. Day 1 was honest work, sweat, blisters, the sweet rot smell under poplars, nylon hiss of the tent as it opened, my stove ticking and catching with a soft whoomp. I wrote nothing in my little notebook except times and miles. I slept hard. Day 2, the same. A woodpecker drilling somewhere I could never pin. Grit in my socks. A heel hot spot that I taped with a butterfly strip, quick and ugly. It felt like life I could carry. On day 3, I came back from the creek with a bottle that tasted faintly of iron. My boots, left tucked neat under the rainfly, were sitting in the center of my tent door, side by side, toes pointed out, like I'd laid them there for a photo. No raccoon does that, no wind. I told myself I'd done it. Tired brain, long miles, fine. The trail ran like a pale ribbon under beech and oak. I knew there was a white blaze on an oak before the switchback. Had checked it on the map more than once. When I hit the bend, the blaze had moved. Same rectangle, wrong tree, wrong side. It pointed into thorn and deadfall. I stopped. The oak's bark showed a raw scrape where paint had been worked off, and the new blaze, still tacky. When I brushed it, my fingertip came back white. Chemical smell, like a hospital hallway after a fresh wax. Not an animal, not me. I stood and listened. Leaves hissed high up. Something small rattled a dry fern and was gone. My own breath sounded too loud in my hood. So I kept walking. Because what else do you do? But I didn't enjoy the miles anymore. My brain started running triage. Who? Why? How far back had he been behind me? Quiet. How close had he gotten to my tent? That night I ate cheddar that tasted like pennies. The zipper pull on the tent jingled when I brushed it. Tiny, stupid sound. I boiled water too long. I kept the knife out. I told myself I wasn't scared. I was. I lay on my pad and listened for the thing that tells you which way to run. Nothing at all. Then at 2 something, my watch light blew my night vision. There was a soft, steady scuff. No, listen. I slid up, slow, careful, with the noisy nylon. Through the mesh, I saw him, a dark cut out by the dead fire ring. He didn't sway, didn't cough. He stood like a post and watched my tent. My mouth dried out so fast my tongue stuck. Sweat pooled cold in my lower back. I tried to control my breathing. 4 in, 6 out, but it kept hitching. Don't move. Don't move. He stayed. 10 minutes. More. Time was elastic. A minute and an hour are cousins at 2 a.m. And then he turned, melted back into the trees without a twig snapping, like he'd grown there. I didn't sleep. I tried to pray and came up with just please. I told myself I'd break camp at first light. I told myself a lot of things. Dawn came diluted through cloud. The fly was wet to the touch, cold and a little slimy with pine pollen. My fingers shook enough to miss the first buckle. I laughed once, a dumb, breathy thing, but my hands kept moving. When I pulled the stakes at the head end, I saw it, right where my skull had rested all night. An old brass compass, glass spidered. The lid hinged loose. The needle was gone. In its place, coiled neat as a watch, spring, sat a lock of brown hair. My color, my length, my split ends. No. I looked for tracks and found none. I listened for him and heard only the tiny plink of water off the fly. My hands wanted to shake again. I let them. Good. Fine. A body should tell the truth even if your mouth won't. So I packed. Fast. Messy. I left the extra fuel. I left the little orange trowel. I left the romantic idea of being a person who sleeps alone in the deep green and wakes softer for it. I didn't look back. The hike out stretched. Every whitened blaze jumped at my eye. Some were older, cracked down the middle. Some were fresh, too clean. A few looked corrected, painted over, repainted. My shoulders screamed. The straps creaked in that steady, maddening way. A gnat landed on the corner of my lip and I crushed it against my teeth without meaning to. Bitter, tiny grit. At the trailhead lot, my car sat under a skin of yellow leaves. A leaflet flapped under the wiper. Be bear aware. I laughed again, too loud. I tossed my pack in the back and drove without music, hands at 10 and 2, eyes flicking the mirror more than the road. And I made it home, apartment, locks, the ordinary good smells, laundry, detergent, coffee tin on the counter that always leaks a little. But the woods came in with me, pine pitch under my nails, a thin scratch on my wrist I didn't remember getting, the echo of rubber on dirt, boot soles that weren't mine. I showered until the water cooled. I checked the closet twice. I put the knife on my nightstand and left the light on. So, fine. I told myself I'd sleep. I didn't. In the morning, I went to toss the compass because that's what any sane person would do, and found a second one in the glove box. Newer, glass unbroken. The needle was back where it should be, pointing steady. Only, it wasn't red. It wasn't metal at all. It was a thin twist of brown hair, sealed under clear resin, aligned dead north. Story 3. The Hunger on the River. I promised my son a week without bars. No service, no pings, just us and fish and a river that's cut the same line since before my granddad was born. The Flathead curls like a spine through that wilderness. I told Orion he'd love it. He said, cool, without looking up. First night, we took the sandbar. I ran a stringer through a trout's jaw and set it in the shallows, where the water talks in round syllables. The pan tasted like old butter no matter how I scrubbed it with sand. A mosquito landed on the back of my hand and filled slowly, patient. Normal things. Good things.
Pike?
Then the line snapped. Not a fray, a whip crack. The fish was gone with a yank that bent my wrist. Pike, Orion said. Big one, I said. But the pull had weight that felt deliberate, heavy in a way that suggested mind as much as muscle. We found marks in the wet sand before bed. Not paw, not hoof. Long gouges with a lip, like something had dragged itself on its ribs and then turned, tail first, back to the water. I told him a log had worked in and out on the current. I tried to believe my voice. Rain came the second night, soft, steady. The tent was a drumskin. Orion watched a downloaded movie under the bag like a kid under a blanket with a flashlight, screen painting his face blue, then white, then blue. I nearly told him to kill it. Then I didn't. A sound slid out of the night, long, wet, a pull through mud with weight behind it. I put a finger to my lips and he paused the movie. The tent air shifted. Something big pressed in the wall by his head. Nylon sagging until it brushed his hair. We both saw the shape in the glow. Long, too long. A head like a board, plain thin, bone at the edges. It inhaled. The breath sounded like a bellows with water in it. Thin whistle in, thick rasp out. It was tasting us through plastic. My hands moved without me. I pointed at his phone. The far corner. He swallowed. He nodded. He slid the phone across the floor and it tapped the fabric by my boot. Too loud. Too loud. He shoved it again, harder. It skated and hit the opposite wall. The thing vanished from our side. The tent flexed. Then, thump and a crunch like ice cracked with a boot heel. Bright glass breaking. The wet chew that followed had strings in it. A sticky, careful sound. We didn't breathe. We didn't exist. We tried to be the space between raindrops. After a while, minutes, the pressure lifted. The dragging went away the way a truck goes away on a long road. Present, less, gone. At dawn, the river looked honest again. Grey, cold, indifferent. We did not pack. We did not fold. We left our camp stove, our mugs, our tarp, the extra socks tied in a pair. We crossed to the trees with hearts beating in our mouths and didn't look back. On the trail out, Orion didn't ask for his phone. He kept a hand on my pack like when he was 5 and stores were big. I wanted to tell him something true and steady. I settled on, "You did good."
You did good.
It came out thin. We reached the truck. The key fob chirp felt obscene. I drove slow, too careful, like speed would wake something behind us. At home, he showered until the mirror bled water. He didn't mention the movie. He didn't ask to camp again. I didn't offer. 2 days later, a small padded box arrived with no return. I opened it at the sink. Inside, his phone. The screen was a starburst. The case smelled faintly of mud and something iron. A note? No, just the device, sealed in a zip bag like evidence. I powered it once. The display lit through the cracks long enough to show a smear across the wallpaper. A brown-green arc, thin and parallel, like you dragged 2 fingers across it. No, not fingers. Too long, too even. The battery died. Good. At night, water-glug sounds in the pipes make me freeze. I tell myself it's air in the line. I tell myself the river is far and far is safe. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I feel nylon brush my cheek, and in the black behind my eyelids, something long and patient presses in, as if the wall between here and there is only tent fabric and breath.